Нет, назад. Что? Какая странная игра. Кошмар какой. Что за бред такой? Я прослушала, что мне говорили. О, господи, что это за бред? Это бесит. Что? 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 Привет, привет, с вами Элисон, Дакота, это игра The Stanley Parable. Не знаю, как правильно переводится, но мне кажется, что-то типа парабола Стэнли или что. Я так понимаю, мы будем играть за мужчину, которого зовут Стэнли. И я думаю, сейчас мы узнаем, что нам нужно здесь делать. Потому что, если честно, я не совсем в курсе, что это за игра вообще. А пока идет загрузка, советую подписаться вам на моего друга Абисима. Он снимает крутые прохождения по играм. В данный момент это игра Ведьмак. Ссылка на его канал будет в описании под видео. Переходите, подписывайтесь.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
О, уже игра началась? Что делать? Выйти из офиса? Ой.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go any way except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
Упс, что-то нажала. Что происходит? Мы опять здесь. Я застряла. О. Ладно, я не буду закрывать эту дверь. Здесь закрыто. И здесь закрыто.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Нужно пойти влево. Ладно. Почему дверь закрывается за нами? Все другие двери, кстати, видите, закрыты.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
О, эта дверь открылась.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Окей, идем дальше.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Наверх к начальнику. Ну, пойдемте. Здесь закрыто. Что это? А, bathroom. Окей.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Что? Сюда нужно вести это?
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs, trying to input any, yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Странно. Что? Я так понимаю, нам сюда надо, да? Оу. Что происходит? Короче, мы опускаемся вниз. Сейчас посмотрим.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Вернуться нельзя? Я надеюсь, это не ужастик какой-то.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Станция управления сознанием. Здесь написано Escape. Давайте посмотрим, что здесь. Может, здесь выход?
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Нет, я не хочу жестокую
But of
смерть.
course, Stanley thought better of it and realized he simply had too much to live for.
Темно. Здесь есть пол вообще? Похоже, что есть.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Что? Это все экраны?
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
То есть за ним следили все это время? Ну и что?
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Что за бред происходит?
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Что? Выключить? Оу. Что? Что случилось? Все? Оу.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
Oh.
Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing.
Может, это экран?
Stanley stepped through the open door.
Вышел в открытую дверь. Это похоже на дверь.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Что? Что происходит? Загрузка? Это не конец игры? Что? Мы опять здесь?
All of his co-workers were gone.
Что?
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Эта игра запустилась заново или что? А мы здесь были? Стоп, дверь Дверь не закрывается? Дверь не закрывается за нами почему-то. Что? Ладно.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping he might find coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Идемте. Сюда.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
Что? Успокаивающая музыка. Видимо, мы поспешили немного.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Давайте попробуем еще раз спуститься. Давайте попробуем еще раз спуститься и пройти другим путем, там, где было escape написано.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Пойдемте вот сюда.
Although this passageway had the word
Узнаем,
escape written on it,
что за
the truth was
жестокая
that at the
смерть.
end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Окей. Пускай будет жестокая
The
смерть.
door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point,
Пойдемте
Stanley was
посмотрим.
making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Нужно упасть туда. Загрузка. Мы сейчас, наверное, снова окажемся у себя в офисе. Ну, в кабинете. Или что? О!
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Что происходит?
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Что? Приспособление его убило.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Что? Где мы? Где это я?
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Прыжок не работает. Что происходит? Где мы находимся сейчас? Это какая-то галерея. Непонятно чего. Ой. Окей. Здесь есть выход. Похоже на музей какой-то. О, здесь зависло. Здесь зависло и не работает. Короче, игра зависла. Так что давайте начнем ее сначала. На этот раз мы пойдем не налево, как нам говорит Блин.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
На этот раз мы пойдем не налево, как говорит рассказчик.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors. He entered the door.
А
This
пойдем
was not
сюда.
the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Да.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
First open door on his left. Нет, мы пойдем дальше.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Do not jump from the cargo lift while it is in moving.
Look,
Не
Stanley, I
прыгать.
think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's
Там,
someone
кстати,
you've been
дверь какая-то.
neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What?
А если я прыгну?
I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove
Danger
that
everywhere.
I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Пойдемте сюда. Мы уже слушали его, да? На этот раз мы не будем его слушать, а просто будем идти себе вперед.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Куда? В синюю дверь?
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
А, в синюю дверь.
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
А, в синюю дверь.
All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you.
Окей.
You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Что? Давайте посмотрим, что здесь.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here.
Я люблю, когда много выбора. Okay.
Aha! You see, I knew I was onto something. Where do these flashes of inspiration come from? How did I know the game needed a third door? Well, it's instinct mostly, a calling in your gut. I really couldn't say where the idea came from, except that I felt it in my soul. You can't teach that, Stanley. Don't even try. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Что происходит? Еще раз туда не пойду, я пойду сюда. Что?
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up.
Что? Что
In this game,
происходит?
the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Что? И надолго нас хватит? Нет, мне надоело.
You heartless bastard. Did you do it
Бессердечная
because
ты
you hate babies or
сволочь.
purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
Что? Что за бред вообще?
There, Stanley,
Что?
is this any better? At last, the one thing you've always desired. A game I had absolutely nothing to do with. But is it enough? Tell me that, Stanley. Will it ever be enough? Well, I'll say this. I'm done making things for you. From now on, I will only create to fulfill a greater artistic purpose. Watch this, Stanley. I'm going to build a house.
Хорошо, строй
This
дом.
will go here. No, here. And then... Let's see, what does it need? Yes, of course. And just to finish it all off, yes, it's complete. I made this,
Как
Stanley.
зайти?
Look at it. Gaze upon my work of art and feel ashamed at your own inadequacy. Ah, but you've only seen it from the outside. You've only gotten half the experience. Please, step inside and make yourself comfortable. Isn't it grand? Isn't it perfect? It could only be better if... Wait, that's it. We must rebuild it out of diamond. Diamond everything. Yes. Come along, Stanley. We have to go mining.
Здесь прыгать нельзя. Пойдемте майнить. Я не против.
Oh my, it looks like it's going to get a bit dark. Have you brought a light?
Ну, я хочу подсветить. Я не могу прыгать, мне это не нравится. Я хочу грибы. Что происходит?
No. This is far more open-ended than I had in mind. I'm looking for something more narrow and linear. Something that makes you feel utterly irrelevant. This won't do at all. 1 out of 5. Even the diamonds couldn't save this one. Okay, new game.
Что? Что такое? Что с этим чуваком вообще не так? Я хотела в Майнкрафт поиграть. Вы слышите этот звук? Что это? О, Господи.
Yes! I don't even know what this game is, but I love it. You, trapped in a glass box with no way out, listening to me talk. Oh, it's inspired. I couldn't have done it any better myself. What is this game even supposed to be? I can't figure it out. Okay, now I'm curious. Let's go find out what the hell this is.
Что это? Что происходит?
Oh, it's a puzzle. Critical thinking, Stanley. Your forte.
Что? Это какая-то игра, но я в нее не играла никогда. А,
Genius.
я поняла. Можно было взять.
No, actually,
Окей.
you know what? I think that's plenty. I really don't care much to see you stumble through it.
Оу. Где я? Ого. Что это? Там обрыв? Мы там можем выпасть из мира или что? Что это? Похоже на какой-то Outlast. Много комнат. Эй! Нас выпустят отсюда. Что происходит? Это уже бесит. О! Не, это действительно похоже на Outlast. Этот коридор. «427» — это же наш номер, нет? Что делать? Нам не сюда, да? О!
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Хорошо. Что он хочет от меня? Мы опять здесь? Ладно, давайте заканчивать. Если хотите увидеть другие варианты развития истории, то обязательно напишите об этом в комментариях. И в следующем видео мы заглянем за другие двери и исследуем все остальные проходы. А пока на этом все. С вами была Элисон, Дакота. Ставьте лайки этому видео, оставляйте свои комментарии и до новых встреч. Пока-пока!